Overcoming a lifelong struggle of shyness or nerves is no small task. The advice you get from people may be well-intentioned, but often comes from people who have little experience with personal shyness. If the thought of being social leaves you sweaty, shaky, and nauseous, if you're timid, dealing with self-conscious concerns and discomfort through most situations, how do you get through it? Hello everyone, and welcome to Highly Successful You. Today we're going to talk about Overcome Shyness, how to stop being shy and nervous. Shyness can plague every aspect of the chronic sufferer's life, much more than the fleeting feelings of unease or nervousness that most people deal with in certain situations. It can feel hopeless, like it takes hold of your entire life. But the good news is, shyness can be overcome, and nerves can be conquered. It might not just disappear on its own. Still, the 10 strategies we're covering today can help you take steps towards feeling more comfortable not only around other people, but with yourself. With that, let's get into it. Number 1, don't tell anyone. You don't need to advertise your shyness, even if you feel it might make other people understand your behavior. Chances are, others may never have an opportunity to notice if you don't say anything. Many people are under the often incorrect assumption that their shyness is more obvious than it really is. The anxiety will make you fixate on the feeling it leaves with you. Chances are, it's not as visible as you think, and telling people will only draw more attention to the situation. Number 2, stop self-sabotaging. Sometimes we're really our own worst enemy. If you allow your inner critic to put you down, you're losing from the very start. Stop self-sabotaging and worrying about every detail of your conversation. Analyze the power of that voice in your head and diffuse it from the beginning. If you know the points that your inner critic are going to make against you, then you'll never be caught surprised by a moment of self-loathing or anxiety. Try being ready with rebuttals by knowing your strengths up front. Make a list of your positive qualities and list someone who you love and trust if need be. And keep those points in mind when you're feeling insecure. Number 3, choose your relationships carefully. Shy people have fewer relationships but often carry deeper connections. This means that choosing friends or partners can be even more critical. Pick people who encourage you and compliment you well. For instance, having extroverted friends can be helpful, but only if they understand your differences and respect them. A partner who doesn't understand your struggles can be challenging to work with, if not downright impossible. For these reasons, you must choose people who are responsive, warm, and encouraging in ways that counteract your anxieties and help bolster you up rather than tearing you down. Number 4, avoid people who make you the punchline. There will always be people in your life who are willing to be cruel or sarcastic if it makes for a killer punchline. Some people don't know what's appropriate or simply don't care who they hurt. It may not be immediately apparent who these people are. Indeed, if you knew someone was a bully or a tease, you wouldn't see them out. However, if you recognize that being around people makes you more anxious, you need to find a way to maintain a healthy distance from these people. If you can't avoid them, try limiting their unfiltered access to you. You can do this by bringing a friend or partner who can help you deflect the attention or help call these people out for their unkind behavior. Number 5, watch other people carefully. Most people who struggle with anxiety are hardest on themselves, so many a concerted effort to observe others. Try to do this without making a huge deal about it. You might recognize some of the behaviors from yourself as other people suffer from their own symptoms of insecurity. Know that you may not have noticed this without making an effort to, and it might offer you a sort of comfort knowing you're not alone in this feeling. Many people suffer from anxiety and shyness on a day-to-day basis. Even if you don't notice it, it's not just you. Another thing to keep in your mind is the fact that you didn't see these behaviors before. And chances are, most people won't notice them in you for the exact same reason. Most of us are far too wrapped up in our own lives to think of other people this way, and so most of your shyness is entirely in your head. Number 6, stop feeding into your imagination. Shy people often feel rejection or disapproval, even when it isn't there. People likely like you a lot more than you give them and yourself credit for. When you spiral down a path of concern and self-deprecation, one anxiety can lead to many, many more. Once you're in too deep, it's hard to climb out. Stop feeding into your imagination if it's not doing you any good. Chances are you're overthinking an encounter that the other person has long since forgotten. Number 7. Stare it down. If you're feeling scared or nervous, sometimes the best thing to do is to stare these fears down head-on and face them. It's hard. You may not be comfortable with this sort of head-on collision with things you might consider to be crippling. Your comfort zone is essential, but sometimes it's the sort of obstacle that you can overcome by just leaning into it. Just know that the sooner you deal with it, the sooner you can get through it. The more of these situations you take the time to break down and handle, the more comfortable you'll be doing that in the future. The hope here is just exposing yourself to this sort of bold confrontation, even in the smallest of ways, will, over time, help you feel like it's not that big of a deal. Number 8. Don't stress the little things. When you spend a lot of time inside your own head, it's far too easy to distort experiences and think that your shyness is ruining an entire event. Remember, one wrong moment doesn't mean a bad day. If you mess up an encounter or let yourself get wrapped up in how others are perceiving you, it can be far too easy to let this snowball into a terrible day you can't get over. Chances are, even if you did misstep, it wasn't a big deal to anyone but you. When you feel like you've let something get away from you, remember, this is likely all your head. You can choose to get wrapped up in it or decide to act as though it didn't bother you that much at all. Number 9. Fake it till you make it. This is going to be a hard one for many, but once you're able to get out of your mind and stop overthinking, it might still be hard to just open up and be less shy. We may wish there was a more straightforward way to fix it, but becoming less shy is a process that may take a good amount of time. If you don't have the time to dedicate to unlearning your nervous behaviors, then you can try pretending. This may take some practice, but think of yourself as an actor filling a role. You are a shy person, but if you go into an encounter with the thought that you're filling the role of a social person without those anxieties, it can go a long way. Number 10. Make yourself a plan. Make a list of all things that make you anxious or nervous or trigger your shyness. Name them and plan out ways to eliminate them and move forward. This sort of forward-thinking action can help you conceptualize your fears and worries in a way that makes them feel easy to handle. It can be easy to get overwhelmed, but writing out the steps into actionable plans can make these huge concerns much smaller. Suffering from shyness should not be the thing that keeps you back from the sort of success you are seeking. Anyone who tells you that you should just stop being shy doesn't understand just how debilitating it can be. However, just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's an impossible task to tackle. You can incorporate some of these techniques as soon as today. However, remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you need to take steps over time to overcome anything and grow from it. That brings us to the end of today's video. Are there any thoughts you'd like to share? Drop it down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.